Okay, so on the outside of your foldable, I would like you to write the proportion that works for these three. These right here. The proportion that works for them is part over whole, the whole thing, equals whatever number has your percent sign on it, and the 100 is always there. The 100 stays no matter what. It goes right there. Your percent sign, whatever number has your percent, will go right there. If a number in the problem does not have a percent sign, then you know that's what you're looking for, and this becomes your unknown or your X. Now the part in the whole, the part is a piece of the whole. Like if it was all fruit and this was just bananas. It's a part of the whole thing. Keep that in mind when you're solving these. Okay, pencils down. I just want you to watch as we go through this. First off, the first thing you're going to write every time is the formula, your proportion. You write part over whole equals percent over 100. Now you're going to use the numbers given and set up their proportion. First, let's say a ratio equal to the second ratio, and this one is always 100. Now, if we read the problem, what number is 45% of 74? So they're looking for a smaller number, which is a piece of the 74. Now notice the percent sign is attached to that 45. So that number is always in the spot above the 100 because it has a percent sign. The other one is the whole thing. That is the whole piece, and you're looking for the part that is missing, the part of that 74. So to solve it, always do cross multiplication in these because the 100 makes it extremely easy. So 100 times x equals, and then you have 74 times 45. Now you're going to have to do the math. So 74 times 45, 20. Add in that last zero. Now what you get is 100x equals 3,330. So this is the easy part. When you divide by 100, show it on both sides. Don't leave it off. X equals. You drop that 0 because that's dividing by 10. Divide by the remaining 10, and that just means move your decimal over twice. This is dividing by 10. That's dividing by 100. So your final answer is 33.3, and that is the part. Now you are using your foldable to answer number 1, which is set up exactly like the one we just went over. Try this one first before we move on to number 2. Pause it and try it. Okay, again, same exact formula. It doesn't go away. Part over whole equals percent over 100. So let's go ahead and set it up. 100 stays. Now if you notice in the problem, there are no percent signs because the question is, what percent? So that means that's your unknown. Your percent is what you're looking for. And it says, what percent of 40 is 5? So 40 is the whole thing, and 5 is the part. Cross multiply and solve. Write these steps out, please, every time. You could write 100 times 5 if you need to, or just go ahead and solve it because you know 5 times 100 is 500. Now at this point, you are just dividing 500 divided by 40. You could drop those zeros because that's just simplifying that fraction. So all this truly is 50 divided by 4. Goes in there 2 times, remainder 2, add the decimal. As soon as you do, add a 0 and keep dividing. Now my remainder is 0 and I may stop. So x equals 12.5, and you need to remember that you were looking for the percent, so you have to. Okay, hopefully you checked number 1's answer with the partner. Make sure y'all got the same answer. If not, you need to go back and review it with each other. Number 2, pencils down, and let's go over this one. Do not copy it. Okay, let's write the proportion. Part over whole equals percent over 100 every time. The more you write it, the more you're going to remember it. So we're going to set it up. Ratio equal to another ratio, and that hundred's on bottom. Now if you notice in the problem, it says what percent. This is not a percent, and the 8 is not a percent. So this means that what is what you're looking for. That is your unknown. So the x goes where the percent symbol is. Now they're saying what percent of 70. So that means that 70 is the whole. That's the whole thing, while the 8 is the part, the piece of the 70 that they're looking for the percent of. So we set it up. That's the only difficult part. Now we are going to cross multiply. So we got 70x equals, and I know 8 times 100 is 800 right away. Divide by 70, divide by 70. Now when I'm dividing by 70, this piece right here, that's all I'm working on right now. I know I could simplify by dropping those zeros. So all this is remaining is 80 divided by 7. 7 goes into 8 one time. Your remainder's 1. Bring down the 0. Goes in there one time. Your remainder's 3. Now I've run out of space because that 1 went above the 0. So I add my decimal and add a 0. Goes in there 4 times. Goes in there 2 times. And it will keep going, so we can stop there. So your answer equals 11.42. That is a percent, so do not forget to add your percent sign. That is the final answer. Make sure to add the percent sign. Now pick up your pencil, and now that we've practiced number 2, you go ahead and do the number 2 in your foldable. After that, check your answer with your partner, see if they got the same thing. Then you can move on to number 3. Okay, pencils down, you're just watching this one. So we have our formula, of course. Part over whole equals percent over 100. Now set it up. Ratio equal to your second ratio with that 100 on bottom. Now I automatically go up and look for that percent sign. Well, the percent sign is 118%, which is fine. It means it's over 100, meaning it's gonna get larger. I'm looking for a number that's larger. So this is our percent. Our percent always goes over the 100. So let's figure out what this piece is. Now I know the word of, and anytime I see it, what follows it is usually the whole, not the part, but the whole. What is 118% of this whole piece? So I then know right away the 175 goes down here because it's following the word of 175, and I'm looking for the part. Now I do know this part is going to get larger because this top is larger than 100. So it is going to be more than 175 when I get my final answer. Cross multiply and solve. 100x equals 175 times 118. Now don't get thrown off, it's fine, you could do it. You can multiply 175 times 118. Let's go ahead and do the math. strike out that spot. And you know to add that 0 right there for that placeholder. Now 1 times 175 is 175. So those are extremely easy. So mark out that 1 and add in the 2 zeros because you have 2 numbers marked out right there for that placeholder. 1 times 175 is 175 again. Now let's go ahead and add straight down. 0, 5, 12 plus 4, 16 for those. That's 20650. So 100 x Okay, pick up your pencils and try this one on your own. Check your answers with a partner. Okay, part over whole equals percent over 100. Yes, you do need to write it again. Set it up, ratio equal to another ratio, put that 100 on bottom. Now let's go check. Ooh, I see a percent sign automatically. Percent sign is 40%, so I know that number must go above the 100 because all percents go above the 100. Now let's figure out if this 16 is the part or the whole, so let's read it carefully. 40% of what number? Now remember I mentioned whatever follows the of is usually your whole. So that means this word of what? What is your question mark? So I'm looking for the whole, and they gave me the part of 16. So 40% of what larger number is 16? So let's go ahead and then once you get that hard part done, the setup, cross multiply and solve like you've been doing. 40x equals 16 times 100. I know the 16. I just add 2 zeros. Divide by 40. Divide by 40. Drop those zeros because you don't need it. Then you go and divide automatically by just the 4. 160 divided by 4. 4 goes into 16 4 times, so I put it above the 6. Remainder 0. Do not forget, my answer is not 4. 4 times 4 is 16, not 160. I must add in that 0 right there. So x equals 40. So 16 is 40% of 40, and that's your final answer. Okay, now pick up your pencils and answer number 4. Set it up just like the practice one we did. Now, do not get thrown off if your answers do not come out even from here on out. They can have decimals in them. Keep dividing until it ends, or you know it's going to go on. After you finish, make sure to check your answer with a partner, and then you may begin your homework.